Hey y'all, what's up? It is me again, K, and I'm here as always with your boy Alpha. What's up, boy?
How yes, sir. How we doing? Approaching my favorite time of the year, fucking summer, and most importantly, that's began with WrestleMania season, and that's going to be mixed in with what we're talking about today. But we're going to start with the opposite end of the spectrum today, right?
Yeah. We're going to start with that, as Triple H put it, that pissant little company out there in Florida. No, I actually, like I tell people, I actually love and respect what they're doing out there. But that was a great moment considering, like, it just showed where, to me, it showed where AEW sat in the eyes of WWE. The fact that not only did Trips call it that, but he called it that directly to Billy Gunn's face. Like, it wasn't even like he was trying to hide it or nothing. So, like, for me, that was the part where it was like, okay, like that's what Vince thinks of AEW, like in a nutshell. But anyway,
Trips is funny though. Trips is funny. Trips is a lot of banter. Sorry, go ahead though.
No, well, Trips is actually a good segue into our first topic of the day. That being the newest group or faction in the faction-filled AEW locker room, Pinnacle. Immediate thoughts. I can see it going somewhere as long as it's booked correctly. And it could do something good. It will never be what Evolution was to WWE. As much as they try to capture that look and that magic, there's probably about as much wrestling.
Think about it like that.
You know, there's probably about as much wrestling experience in that ring as there was with the four members of Evolution.
At the time, yes. But go
ahead. Sorry, I know we normally do this off air, but I just thought about that. Did you watch the Randy Orton Broken Skull sessions?
I did not, but I caught bits and pieces of it.
All right, we'll talk that a little bit later on in the show. But man,
okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. Hold that thought for me. For me.
But like to me, that's what it feels like. It's not necessarily that I'm saying like they're a knockoff Evolution, like they specifically are going, but it feels like they're going for that kind of feel. You know, the same kind of feel that you had, like just so much wrestling experience in one ring with two raw young superstars in Batista and Randy Orton, and just wow, you know, and it had electricity, and it jumped off of the screen at you. Pinnacle doesn't necessarily do that for me. Like, it's great. Tully Blanchard is awesome. FTR, great. Sean Spears, okay, you're still alive, awesome. MJF and Wardlow, great. Like I like the potential and the talent there, but like I said, who they would be compared to, I don't think they compare to that much. So but what are your thoughts on Pinnacle, sir?
Well, to go to the Evolution idea real quick, you know, at the end of the day, we're this far into wrestling. I'm not going to say that there's no such thing as new ideas, but at the end of the day, you know, you're going to see a lot of the same shit recycled, but with a different coat of paint on it, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I think I like the idea of the Evolution sort of idea where it's one older dude with a metric dick load of experience alongside 4 or 5 really, really talented young dudes coming up that could really benefit from that insight, you know? I don't hate Pinnacle, and of course, you know, they just began, so we can't really even say for sure what the hell we even really think of them in a lot of ways. But to begin with, I like the idea of making a new faction coming out of fucking destroying another. And my hope is that the inner circle in some way, shape, or form isn't completely and entirely fucked, because although I do like the idea of introducing a new faction, I question the idea of destroying probably your only other biggest faction to create that, because at the end of the day, this is pro wrestling. This isn't fun if you don't have an enemy, if you don't have somebody to lock horns with. And at the end of the day, I don't want this to be Nexus shit where you have 6 cohesive heels versus a random slapped together group of 6 random fucking faces on the roster, regardless of if those faces are good or not, you know?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like I didn't even make that like recollection, because here's how I see this playing out. Just kind of long-term booking. I see it being a long-term feud, maybe 3 to 6 months between them and Inner Circle. You have enough members of each group because first and foremost, Inner Circle's not going to take that beat down, laying down. Yeah. Now, I can see it kind of going in that disappointing way that you were speaking of. Yeah. If Inner Circle does try to step back up and all of a sudden Inner Circle gets beat down again, and then they try to step up again and they get beat down at the next pay-per-view. Like at that point, it's like, okay, look, nah, man, you got to give me some back and forth. You got to give me some good guy, bad guy, because I think the ultimate point of all of this was to develop another heel faction to allow Inner Circle to become more of baby faces.
Yeah. I think if you can allow me to break in real quick, I think at the end of the day, it's a lot easier to look at the Inner Circle and take it as a compelling face faction. A lot easier now that MJF isn't a part of it.
Right.
Because it's really hard to get behind MJF as a face, even with the Sinatra funny shit, like I loved that, but even then I still can't really say that I'm behind MJF like that. And that's the point. If the idea going along this is that we're building up this ongoing storyline that MJF is kind of like this Kevin Owens style, like, you can't fucking trust me. If you do, I'm just going to stab you in the back down the line sort of character. I'm into that. And I like that. But, I don't know about you, but I'm just like, this is really the generation of shitty thrown together heel factions. And I don't want this to be one of those. And I'm really happy that they aren't named fucking something stupid like the Six Horsemen or like some shit like that, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I like the combination of people for the same reason that you said. Like, I like that thought process of evolution, of putting these older guys with these younger guys in a faction to be able to bring them up to be what these old school guys were to an extent. But to be honest with you, the only thing I don't like about Pinnacle is MJF.
Elaborate. Good. Is it like, do you hate MJF and it's like, I don't like this because MJF is heading it? Or is it like, I don't even like what MJF is doing with this?
I just don't like MJF.
I get that.
I think it's the overall cockiness for some odd reason of just like, oh, I'm so damn good when he's really not. Like, bro, you still got a lot of work to do to be at the level that you're trying to put yourself at. Now, don't get me wrong. Half of wrestling is your character having confidence. Your character having confidence that that they may not necessarily have in real life. But I don't buy anything about MJF.
There's nothing wrong with that.
MJF is that dude that I would boot in the head for looking at me the wrong way. Like, he really is. Like, and maybe that's maybe that's a testament to how unlikable of a character he is. But the problem with it is this. I understand the whole living the gimmick thing. Like, I've heard multiple wrestlers mention that, guys that live the gimmick. MJF is just not believable. Even if he's truly living that gimmick, he's just not believable. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's that cocky dude in high school that I would have beat his ass just for being so damn cocky. Just because, like, dude, look, like, it's one thing to have self-confidence, but you just need to be shown that, like, you're not as tough as you think you are. And that's the vibe I get from him, and I just don't like it. And I don't like him. I've never really liked his in-ring work. I can respect what he does and trying to live the gimmick and being the heel all the time so that, you don't break character. I can understand that. But I don't know. I see so many other guys that do it so much better. Guys like Undertaker, who didn't necessarily have to live the gimmick. You know what I'm saying? Undertaker could be a nice guy when you run into him at the bar and still be the Undertaker when you see him on TV. Because he's that good at what he did. And so to me, that's where I think MJF falls off. I think he tries too hard by living the gimmick when he doesn't have to. Be the gimmick whenever you're in the building, and when you're not, be yourself. And if yourself is your gimmick, then I just don't like you. I
get that. You know, man, like I don't like to be that dude, but I'm gonna have to say it. Like, I love pro wrestling, and I have an unfathomable amount of respect for the business and everyone in it, right?
Right.
But this is not the 1980s. There is no reason to be spitting on kids to be convincing everyone that you're genuinely and actually a fucking asshole.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the thing about it now. And I get it. I get it. Be the character, live the character, get really fucking into it. And that's when it gets good, right? But when it works to your detriment in a number of ways, you have to begin to question it. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, it's like, you know, it's funny to think like, oh, when Hulk Hogan and the Wild Samoans got caught speeding on the freeway, Hulk Hogan went to jail because the Wild Samoans refused to speak English because that was their gimmick. That shit's fun. I get that.
Yes.
I get that.
That's the moment right there.
It's fun. But when I see the video of actual interviewers approaching MJF, and the interviewer is like, this is genuine, this is shoot, this is not fake, and MJF is like, fuck you, fuck your interview, I'm out of here, and he packs up all his shit and he leaves the building. Is that heel heat, or are you just a prick?
And my point exactly. Like it's one thing. Like, I'm all for kayfabe, and this is where, like I said, me and our friend that we had on a couple of days ago, a friend of the show, Jamil, where we differ in opinion. Like, he thinks that the pulling back of kayfabe was bad for wrestling as a whole, and I can agree with him to an extent.
Oh, I won't refute that it was bad, but what I will say is that the curtain is pulled and you can't put that shit back.
Right. But also for me, I don't see it as a bad thing, because my brain, it's kind of like when I tell people, like, I'm going to break into sports here for a quick second. Floyd Mayweather.
Go ahead.
I've talked Floyd Mayweather with a lot of people, and a lot of people are like, oh, well, he's just a shitty human being. He beats on women. He does this, he does that. And I'm like, you are 100% correct. Floyd Mayweather is probably a shitty human being. He is, but none of that takes away from me giving him his credit for the philanthropic work he has done. And I'm not going to take anything away from Floyd Mayweather, the boxer. The man is possibly one of the greatest defensive boxers to ever step in a ring, and I'm never going to take that away from him. I don't care how shitty of a human being he is. It doesn't change the fact of what he did in that ring in 50 matches that I watched him box. So at the end of the day, do I have to like you as a human being in order to be able to for you to get over with me as a character, as a wrestler? Nah, there's been some wrestlers that weren't exactly good human beings when they were outside of the ring, but I still loved what they did inside of the ring and respected what they did. And MJF, I just don't like what you do outside of the ring. I'm not a huge fan of what you do inside of the ring. Or should I say it like this? And this is a funny way to say it.
Good.
What you do in the ring and on the mic isn't good enough for me to overlook how much of a prick you are in shoots. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you know, like
no, TLDR. You're not good enough in the ring to be this fucking annoying.
Pretty much. like it's just the truth. Like, man, look, if you are Kurt Angle, I think you can be an asshole and people are like, well, you're still Kurt fucking Angle. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're somebody like that, you could be Jericho. You can be a dick and people are kind of like, hey, that's just Chris Jericho. You know, and it's cool. MJF, I don't know you from a paper bag. At least I didn't know you from a paper bag before AEW. I didn't even know you existed. Maxwell James Friedman, whatever your real name actually is, never existed on this planet until AEW existed. Now, maybe there was wrestling fans in his local area that knew who he was. Maybe there were people who saw him wherever he was at before AEW that knew who he was. But I, avid wrestling fan as I am, had never heard of the man.
Have you heard of MLW?
Is that Major League Wrestling?
Yeah. I've
heard of them. I haven't watched a lot of their stuff.
Yeah, you might have heard of their shit in the circulation, but that, if I'm not mistaken, is where I was exposed to MJF. Okay. And even then, it was hardly like, oh, yeah, You're the heel from MLW.
Yeah.
And AEW really put him on the map for a lot of people, and I didn't really fucking discover that until like he really blew up after that fucking point. And now, to finish off this before we really keep going with AEW, I would like to hear MJF refute anything or any form of critique without calling anyone a fat keyboard warrior smark.
Right.
Final point.
Here's I'll drop one last point on top of that.
But
you know who impressed me?
Mm-hmm.
Heels that have a vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
Heels that can insult you in more and in higher than a fifth grade. Exactly. Like heels that find new and inventive ways to insult you that go beyond fifth grade insults. Like I've always said this about MJF. You can love him, you can hate him. He appeals to the lowest common denominator. His tactics appeal to the lowest common denominator. His tactics appeal to the dude who drives the truck that's lifted 12 feet, even though he ain't never driven it in mud ever, and the car like doesn't have a spot on it. You know what I'm saying? Got the 4-wheel drive and the full package, but ain't never driven that motherfucker in mud. He's that dude. And he's the dude that expects to get all the respect, and and I was like, dude, you're platinum. You're not even platinum gold. You're fake gold. You want to look like gold, but you ain't real gold. Show me something. Maybe later in his career, I'll learn to respect MJF. But for right now, dude, you're a joke. Like, you may be getting a lot of attention on social media, etc., but you're a joke. A lot of what I see written about MJF is just kind of like, MJF, and so like it's not a lot of love, but we'll move on. I digress. I could go off for him on an entire episode.
Honestly.
All right, so let's talk.
Rolling with AEW. Is there anything else AEW that we missed?
Yeah. Full disclosure to all the fans.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we did not get a chance to fully check out AEW this week. But actually, it's last week's AEW because when this airs, a new episode of AEW will have already aired already. The one that's coming on tonight. So we're recording this on Wednesday. Got family things going on this weekend, so we're recording a little early this week.
At a this time.
But let's talk about the reaction to the Thunder Rosa Britt Baker match. Like I've only seen it on either side of the spectrum. There were people that were like, it didn't move the needle for me. And then there were people like, oh my God, this put AEW's women division on the map and they're here to stay. And Britt Baker should get the title now. And it's only been one of those two reactions. I haven't really seen many medians. So let's talk about that when it comes to wrestling fans in general. Like I believe that this match was something that AEW needed as far as attention. Like it definitely gave AEW a lot of eyes looking at AEW, even though their ratings don't reflect that, considering they haven't broke the 800,000 mark in like 3 weeks.
Right.
But it did get people talking on social media about this.
It did.
Here's the question I want to lay out to you that we can kind of discuss.
Please go ahead.
Is blood necessary to make a good hardcore match? Like, can you do hardcore without blood?
I'm very glad that you asked me this because I am a connoisseur of good barbed wire fuckery.
Yeah.
So let's delve into this, right?
all right, for sure.
So I love me some color, I love me some red in a match. I do. And one of my favorite staples of someone like Ric Flair is, we're having a big match, big capacity crowd. Cool. I'm bleeding like a motherfucker.
Get the ambulance ready.
Yep. Yeah. And so I love that kind of shit. And from what I have seen, I do know that both of the women involved in the match bled fucking buckets. And in my honest opinion, it does warrant just a bit bigger of a plus purely in this scenario, only because we don't see this very often in a women's match. And I don't mean that we don't see blood, because we've seen that before. We've seen some pretty grisly shit in the women's division, especially watching shit like Japan on my end. But in terms of American wrestling, this is probably as most violent as I've seen on a high scale women's division in a while. But to answer the question, do I feel like it's needed? No.
Okay.
But do I feel like it can enhance a lot of things if used correctly? Abso-fucking-lutely. But is it like crucial, needed, can't do without it? Nah.
And see, I agree with you there 100%. I believe that a hardcore match can be done. Like, I'll put it to you like this. Ironically, through all the shit that happened in that Rock versus Mick Foley match, if you remember the empty arena match, neither man bled. And that was about as hardcore as they come.
Yeah.
Neither man bled. Like, not profusely, at least. There was no crimson mask in that one. And you would have thought, especially after that 11th chair shot to the dome with Mick Foley, there would have at least been some blood. Like,
Foley has bled much more for much fucking less.
Exactly. But there wasn't. And so, like, but I feel like that was a hardcore match, like one of the top hardcore matches of all time, you know, the empty arena match. You know,
Great way to think about it. Great way to think about it.
You know, I'll say a similar thing with the Hardy Boys versus Edge and Christian versus Dudley Boys TLC matches. There wasn't always a lot of blood. Now, don't get me wrong, there was some blood in some of those matches, some blood. There was a couple of,
but in the one at Mania X8 or Mania 18, however the fuck you want to say it, probably the crown jewel of all their matches, in my honest opinion, and probably to most people, there was no blood. No. There was a lot of creative and violent and fucked up spots, i.e. Matt Hardy and I believe, was it Bubba or Devon?
What, the one that went through the table?
Oh, no. I'm talking about the ones that went through 2 stacks of tables off of the large set of ladders, which is like the 25 footers.
I want to say that was Jeff and Devon, because I remember
it was Matt. It was not Jeff. I promise. Sorry. It was Matt.
Not Devon. Sorry, Bubba Ray. Because I remember thinking to myself, he was the bigger dude, so it made more sense for him to go through, because he would technically be safer going through that. But then again, though, you want to talk about ridiculous table setups. Do you remember who was it? Was it John Cena and Edge, where he FU'd him off the top of a tall ladder through like 6 tables?
I think I was gonna say that was Cena and Edge. That was Cena and Edge, and that must have been in their feud at least like near 2000. That must have been the one after 2009, because before that was the lighter one.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like, but like it's just, I get it. I get why people are so hyped about this match. Like I said, you see the photo, you see the still frame photos, and you see the blood, and you see these girls just beat the living out of each other for, 35, 45 minutes. And you're just like, wow. But the people who are like, this is the greatest hardcore women's match ever, like, the hyperbole has to stop. It truly does.
Okay. Like, it may be that good by American women's wrestling standards. That's the way I'll put it.
Yeah.
By American women wrestling standards. But if you look anywhere else, I'm talking Mexico, Europe, Japan, Germany, Austria, you're gonna find some solid. Yeah, you're gonna find some solid ass women's wrestling, and that's what kills me about American women wrestling, is because that this is as best as we're probably gonna get for a while. Unless AEW takes some pointers here and actually puts more focus into that shit and pumps more shit like this out, right?
I actually think that the NXT women's division is doing fairly well right now. Like names like Raquel
doing well.
Yeah, like names like Raquel Gonzalez, Io Shirai. Like, I like that.
Yeah. I'm really into the NXT women's division. Don't even get me started on that.
Now, the main roster we'll get into a little bit more after we get towards WrestleMania, because there's something I kind of want to talk to you about regarding the women's division on Raw. So let's first of all, now let's dig into I think that's our final AEW topic. So one more AEW. There are some people out there who were giving, I guess there was a letter written by John Huber's wife, Amanda, to the general public, and a lot of people criticizing the use of -1 or his son on AEW television on such a regular basis. And I would say, I'll put it to you first, and then I'll follow up and close out. What are your thoughts on him being? Have they taken it too far? Is it gone on too long, and now it feels more like it's not necessarily as honorable as it was, when they were first doing it?
Well, as much as I would love to say like, oh, this is a big fucking cash grab, I know it's not. You know, you have to read things very, very by the circumstances here, and this is undoubtedly a really complicated situation in a lot of ways. But at the end of the day, I feel like because -1 has been assured a contract at 18, has shown an like constant amount of interest in doing this. It's clear all of the roster has a good relationship with the kid, you know. Right. And I wish I could tell you this is their big infinite John Huber memorial to gain money off it. I know it's not, and I know at the end of the day it's a lot of assurance to the kid. And I know at the end of the day, like in my eyes, the kid just lost his dad, and if he deserves to be given anything at this point, it's at least his dream of being a wrestler that they seem to be talking about so much. I don't see it as a big cash grab, you know. And if at the end of the day that if they want to have the kid come out and stand next to a wrestler after a match, I'm not going to be the one that gets fucking angry, you know.
Now, I do think that they kind of need to pull back on how involved in storylines he's getting, like how much time he's spending on the mic. Not because I don't think he deserves it or it's in bad taste. I just think like let the kid develop behind the scenes. Don't force him to grow up in front of. And I'm not saying they're forcing him to, because obviously him and his mother have a choice in this matter, but don't have.
There are other ways to insert him into this and have him be inclined with this without being on camera every week.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like it feels, and that's what one of the things that unfortunately people have a legit knock with AEW about is AEW kind of feels more like a rich kid. If you watch Glow, I kind of feel like Tony Khan is the blonde kid.
Yeah,
the dude who was putting forth the money. He's just the dude who's trying to have fun, and he happens to like wrestling. Yeah, you know, like, you know, it's really what it feels like when it comes to AEW, and I think -1, unfortunately, not his fault in any which way or form, is part of the reason for that image that you know that's put out there, and so not that it's a bad thing. I just don't see it as a formula for long-term success as a wrestling company. So. But that's just me.
I see what you mean. You know, I'd be interested in other forms of him being interested in this, and other forms of him, and other ways of using him. You know,
right?
Yeah.
So okay, so now that wraps up the AEW talk. Now we're gonna get.
Are we gonna go promo? Or are we gonna go straight into the next one?
What do you mean?
Do we have a commercial to run?
How long we been running? I want to say
you tell me.
About 20 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, we can go commercial and then do Fastlane and WWE right after.
I'm just making sure. I didn't know if we were 30 minutes in or not. Just want to make sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like, yeah, we're about 30 minutes in. All right, so then, guys, we're gonna go on ahead and take a quick commercial break. Didn't expect AEW to take up half the show, but it did. So we'll take that commercial break. We'll come back. For those of you listening on the network on Spreaker, we are going to take a podcast promo break, and we'll be back in about 2-3 minutes with y'all here at the Cheap Pop Podcast. Voices Presents Radio.
Peace.
And we're back. I hope y'all enjoyed those commercials there. You know, we had a good time making them, so I hope you guys had a good time watching them and listening to them. But we're here to talk a little bit about WWE Fastlane.
Break into it.
Oh, yeah. Let's get into it. Nice
All
Undertaker
right,
toy over there. Go buy one for yourself if you like it.
Check that shit out.
All right, so here we go.
So let's not start out with the first match. Before we break into details, give me a vague, not like overview, but give me what were your feelings about the whole pay-per-view? Like in one package.
B+ to an A-. Didn't see the finish coming, or kind of saw but didn't fully see the finish coming of the Reigns Daniel Bryan match. I figured Edge was going to be involved, didn't know how. Still kind of processing how I feel about the Fiend reemerging. McIntyre and Sheamus was match of the night for me, just period.
Yeah.
Rollins and Nakamura, I still want to go back and rewatch that match. I missed a little bit of that match because I had to take a shower. Big E and Apollo Crews, I enjoyed that match. Strowman and Elias, I kind of liked how it. I got what I expected, but I liked how it furthered the storyline of Strowman and Shane McMahon. And then the opening match pretty much went as I expected it to go, and ended the way I expected it to end, with Sasha Banks kind of walking off and, you know, after doing her thing and turning on Bianca Belair. I didn't even know that the pre-show match was happening. So I actually got more than what I expected, because I wasn't expecting to see that at all.
Yeah. Okay. I'm into it. I'm glad you liked it. So starting from the beginning, for me at least, I'm going to be really honest with you, man. I'm going to be real honest with everybody. Fastlane is my least favorite pay-per-view every year around.
Yeah.
Wrestling was great in 2016. You know why? Because Fastlane was replaced with Roadblock. They
that was
they
a Dean
opened
Ambrose Triple H match.
Yes, sir. Yes, it was. Good catch. But like, that was one of my favorites because I hate Fastlane. Notoriously for me, Fastlane is boring. But all things considered, I liked the show this time around. You know, it usually feels like a bunch of fluff until Mania, but this actually had some really good shit to it. I felt like. To start out, if I'm being honest, let's just dig into the kickoff match then. You know.
All right.
Actually, I'll just start us off then. Okay.
All right. Go for it.
So the kickoff match was Mustafa Ali against the U.S. champion Matt fucking Riddle. The match itself was okay. I actually really liked the spots that they did, and I really liked. I don't know if this was the person to bring it out against, but I liked the second rope. Fucking his tombstone clutch fucking shit. I forget what it's called.
It's like Cesaro's thing, but Cesaro does it with the person.
It's a Gotch style fucking whatever. It's great.
Slam. I know what you're saying.
That from the second rope, I believe this is the first time he's used it in WWE. I think he might have used it once in NXT. But I liked that essentially led to the immediate implosion of Retribution. The ending of Retribution was better than the beginning and the middle. Watching them leave was better than watching them arrive. Thank you for ruining Dominic Dijakovic, one of the best big men in the last 5 years. How do you make Dio Madden look stupid before you even know it's Dio Madden under the mask? I'm so glad Mercedes Martinez got out before it got too bad. I hope Mia Yim is not completely like all hope lost after this point. And I'm not even a Mia Yim fan, but watching them break up was great. And I hope, actually, I do kind of like the idea that Dio Madden and Dijakovic are going to stick together. You saw they walked out, they chokeslammed them together, and they walked out together. So maybe, you know, now that they've called off so many fucking tag teams, they can bring in a good Haas tag team in the form of them two guys. It doesn't even matter if it's on the main roster or not at this point, you know, if they want to keep rolling with that. And for the love of God, fucking keep Mustafa Ali on his own. He's so damn talented, but don't give him such stupid shit again.
Yeah, man. Like, yeah.
So what did you think? What did you think about the implosion in the match?
Well, I will say exactly what you said. The ending of Retribution was the best part of the match for me. Like, and it really boiled down to this. Retribution wasn't mishandled. Okay, I'll say this. What the issue is with Retribution is they never went anywhere with any of the storylines with them. They were just randomly. It was like the booking for the Shield, but like it just wasn't done as well. Like they were just randomly feuding with people, and it was just like no. Like I would have loved early on to establish Retribution as a viable faction. I would have loved to see Retribution versus Hurt Business actual feud, like long-term feud, like a couple of months to 2 to 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say 2 to 4. Oh good Lord, tax. I hate tax. Mm-hmm. But a good 2 to 4 months, feud between I think that would have put Retribution on the map. I think that would have established, maybe some one-on-one matches between MVP and Mustafa Ali. That would have established them as a legit contender, and they could have went somewhere after that, and they could have had, Dio Madden and Dominic Dijakovic go after the tag team championships and stuff like that. But instead, they just went nowhere with it. At first, I thought this whole thing with New Day was building to Kofi Kingston versus Mustafa Ali match, and they were going to use that storyline from Kofi's run from like 2 years ago
that Ali was supposed to have.
Right. Like I thought they were going to use that as that storyline and run with it, and they once again they started the storyline and it went nowhere.
Yeah.
And that was the problem with all of the Retribution storylines is they'd even start to get interesting, and then they'd go nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so yes, I'm glad to see Retribution split up. I'm always good to see the bro keep the U.S. championship. But the Retribution disbanding was, well, I hope they're disbanded. Like they haven't, it's not official yet, but I hope that they're disbanded. Don't kill her, Thunder. Don't kill her. Oh God. But yeah, so funny. Anyway, but yeah, so my overall, once again, I give that a match, let's say B+ because of the ending.
Yeah, I'd agree. But before we sign off onto the next part of the show, everybody says how shit Retribution is. And I feel like nobody just says how it could have been better. So you know what? Here's my 2 cents on that, dude. You could have easily not given anybody any stupid Mad Max-styled fucking name and mask. You could have plopped them all together. They are all people with gimmicks based in reality. You could have easily stuck them together, given them the same name, and made them wear the same colors, and made them have better matches and have a good consistent push where they look strong
instead of getting in trouble for taking their mask off.
Exactly. It is that fucking simple. You didn't have to change anyone's name or gimmick or do anything insane like that. This could have been very simple, but they have potentially ruined the credibility of like 5 people all at once. But let's keep rolling.
Well, I would say
go ahead.
The credibility of Dominic Dijakovic, Dio Madden, Mia Yim, and I believe it was not Austin Theory,
Shane Thorne,
can all be redeemed because they were all wearing masks.
True.
You can still bring them back as their original characters and act like Retribution never existed.
True. You can.
Those were different characters, and so we'll see where they go with it. If they decide to keep them in these characters or not, but I think that definitely separating them from the mouthpiece, if you're going to give somebody a mouthpiece, like MVP was the better mouthpiece than Mustafa Ali. Like you said, he's much better off on his own.
Yeah.
And definitely I don't buy him.
Sorry, Rob.
And I definitely, unfortunately, don't buy him as the maniacal leader of some like cult group. Like,
yeah.
That's just
you spent the last year telling me that Mustafa Ali was a cop and he was honorable, all this dignity and stuff. Whatever, bro. You kill me. Horrible consistency, plot holes.
So, all right. So we'll skip over the women's match. It was good. Like the ending was great. I thought this match did a really good job. Strowman defeating Elias, of furthering the Strowman versus McMahon feud that we all know is coming at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
You know, it did a good job of that because Elias is there's no logical reason for Shane McMahon to beat Braun Strowman.
Yeah, there isn't.
Like in any reality, fake or real, there's no logical reason unless he has superpowers or knows magic. There is no logical reason for Shane McMahon to beat Braun Strowman.
Yeah,
so what do you do? So you can't put them in the ring together in one-on-one matches and tag matches for the next 4 or 5 weeks leading up to WrestleMania. So what do? You throw Elias, who's really doing nothing right now, to the middle of the feud. Yeah. I'm pretty sure sometime in the next coming weeks, as we're getting up to WrestleMania, we're going to see Jackson Riker and Elias take on Braun Strowman by himself.
Yep.
You know, maybe a tag match or 3-on-1 match where they actually get the win, you know, and then Strowman gets the win at WrestleMania. But I
honestly though, real quick, it's probably going to come down like the show right before Mania. Some fucking way Riker and Elias or Shane McMahon are going to get a dirty victory over Braun. Because the rule has to apply that they're going to look strong as they walk into a Mania so that they can get fucking decimated.
Well, and you have to sell him as somebody that can credibly beat Braun. That's what that whole experience was with him pouring the green slime and all that shit on Braun Strowman. It was to build Shane McMahon up as a viable opponent without giving him help. This isn't the Shane McMahon and the Mean Street Gang from oh my God, where were they from?
No, I'm surprised you actually. I remember that Shane and his stupid fucking buddies in the stupid shirts and fucking sweaters.
Oh man, yeah, that was
his boys from like 06, 07, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So this isn't that Shane, but this is a Shane that went toe to toe with the Undertaker and lived. You know, so he didn't win, but he lived. So this is that type of match where I expect Shane to live, but I don't expect Shane to win. But you got to make him a viable opponent for Braun if you're going to set up that match.
Yeah, so, you know, unpopular opinion, I fucking love Shane, even though I do hate the best wrestler in the world shit. Never going to forget that. I love Shane to death, but I like the idea that they're running with this, where it's this idea since Shane has returned in 2016, that Shane, like you said, Shane shouldn't win anything. There's no logical reason why there should be any credence or any belief that Shane would walk into Mania 32 and beat Undertaker, or walk into Mania 32, or walk into Mania 33 and fight AJ Styles, one of the best in the fucking world. There's no logical reason that's going to win. You want to take it all the way back? There's no reason why Shane McMahon should feasibly come anywhere near beating Kane, Kurt Angle, DX, or anyone that he's ever feuded with. This is the idea with Shane. I've said it before. Shane is not a wrestler. He's a fighter with J's on in the ring. You know, Shane, the whole story should always be, how is Shane going to even survive with this man? And the answer has usually been, I'm going to jump off the highest thing in the room. And I hope that that's the prevailing theme here, because I like watching Shane kill himself. And so if it means I get to, even without a crowd or even with a reduced crowd, watch Shane jump off of something and land on Strowman, best case scenario, I watch Shane jump off the big fucking pirate ship.
Yes. Man, it's like I said, I like what it's building to, and we'll see where it goes. That match at Fastlane, I'd probably give it like a B at best.
Yeah, no, I hate filler, but with the same idea, I know it's just leading up into something better. Go ahead, though.
Now, just to touch on this match, I'm hoping that this is leading to a WrestleMania match. And I hate to say this because I really hate this character.
Give your thoughts first.
Sorry, I hate to say this because I hate to say this about Apollo's character, because I think I kind of like the character work that he's doing right now. Sorry, I kind of don't like. Sorry, I flipped that. I kind of don't like the character work he's doing right now. But I think he should win the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. I think Big E doesn't need the win. I think that Apollo needs to win. And I think this feud is building properly because technically Big E whipped his ass.
Yeah.
All the way up until the final minutes of that match, right after he lost and he attacked him. Big E whipped his ass. You know,
the theme is here that Big E has been whipping his ass for like fucking a month now.
Yeah.
Go on, though.
But this time Big E gave him the preacher whipping.
You know, biblical on your ass.
when you piss off Pastor John, you know, Pastor turned into a different man. So you know, and Big E is that man. But like I do like the feud that's building between them.
Yeah, man.
But like I said, I just can't do with this Wakandan accent. Like I can't. Like I don't care if he's calling it a Nigerian accent. It sounds Wakandan to me. Unless you're gonna tell me Nigeria is really Wakanda, like it's a Wakandan accent.
It's a Wakandan accent. But no, right? I feel it,
man. And I'm sorry, I will critique it in this one other way. I think this is a gimmick that Apollo Crews should have debuted with, not all of a sudden turn into.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like it's like you don't want to do the Kofi thing, but the Kofi thing made sense. He came in with the accent, and then at a certain point he dropped the accent, just was himself. It would have been better if Apollo Crews came in with this accent and then dropped the accent and started talking, because having him go from the way he used to talk since way back in NXT to all of a sudden this, like I said, it just sounds like a fake accent. And so that's the only part of it that really gets my goose, so to speak.
Yeah. You know, like I said before, it feels like one of those things that was so randomly picked up, and like one of those things that some fucking schmuck backstage was like, oh man, he's Nigerian? That's your new gimmick. And that's what it was. And you know, I'm not saying he's being forced into doing this, obviously. No. You know, if he's doing this, he's passionate about it. And I believe in that. But you're right. The timing does make the suspension of disbelief a lot harder.
Exactly.
The spear, in my eyes, is a bit too fucking gimmicky. We're getting a little too close to Kamala. We're getting a little too close to tribal masks and palm tree skirts. Stop that.
No, exactly. Stop that.
I can do the military guards in the back. I can do that. I can dig that. I can dig my people were ancestor kings. I can do that. The spear is not necessary. The accent is a bit out of left field, and it's killing me because Apollo is a great fucking worker. And I'm just gonna go for it. The finish of this match was fucking horrible. And I really hope this is going to lead into Apollo getting that big break, either at Mania or at some point here, because right now Apollo looks like a big fucking idiot. Yeah. He's just changed gimmicks out of nowhere. Yeah. And he's going into this feud on a month losing streak. That's not how you build someone new.
Yeah.
And even if he's not new, you're trying to present to me something new. You're not going to be able to put that over like that. Apollo, like you said, really fucking needs this. And Big E, 6-7 years in, can suffer this loss, because I have a feeling that Apollo is only just beginning his big break here, whereas Big E is really close to ascending to something much greater than the IC title scene. And I say this as somebody who is passionate about the IC title.
Yeah. And I actually do. I was just going to say that. I was just going to say I could see Big E elevating from this into a feud with either Roman Reigns or whoever comes out of WrestleMania with the Universal title.
That's not to say he's going to win it, but that's to say that I can see that feud, though. Can you?
Yeah, big time. I would rather, to be honest with you, I'd rather see the him and Roman Reigns feud. I would love to see those promos, and I would love to see that feud. The intensity in that feud would remind me of what we're going to see with Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania.
I'm into that.
And let me get on to this. Where is it? Not this match. That was a good match. Rollins defeating Nakamura.
Are we gonna here? Let me give you. If you don't have a lot to say about that, let me talk about that real quick. It wasn't a bad match. It was pretty by the numbers for the both of them, and you know, knowing what they're capable of, I really wish they had a lot more time to work with and a lot more depth to work with. But you know, we did see those big reports that between Nakamura and Cesaro, one of them is going to be putting over younger guys, going to do a lot of making other people look good. Not to say that he's going to be jobbing out, and one of them is going to be being prepped for a massive push. And now we see Shinsuke put over Seth Rollins clean as day in the middle of the ring.
Yeah.
Just saying to keep things like that in mind rolling forward, because I have an idea of where this could be leading.
Okay.
I'm gonna get into big predictions some other time, but
all right. We'll hold that for another episode. We got another one coming up in a couple of weeks.
Let's roll into the next match, though.
All right. So I was rolling through that match because I was talking about the brutality that we're going to see from Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. And let me tell you, if this was not a primer for what we're going to see at WrestleMania, I hope they go no holds barred or something like that at WrestleMania, or no DQ, because this match between these two gentlemen, wow. Like I said, match of the night for me. Like they beat the holy hell out of each other without remorse. That's how you know they are best friends in real life, because they let each other beat the holy snot out of each other for a good, like, what was about 10-15 minute match. Easy. Yeah. So those are my thoughts on that match. What did you think?
Let me break it in. Oh man, I fucking love Sheamus, and I've always loved Drew. And I like the attention to their relationship here, and you can obviously see their chemistry bleed into this match. Me and my family were talking about the pacing of the match, and a lot of my family was like, wow, this is a really slowly paced match, but it's not bad. It wasn't. It was very methodic, is the way that I want to word it, and that's how it felt. It was a big, stiff hoss fight. You know, Sheamus and Drew, big fucking dudes known for potato sacking the shit out of a lot of guys. Sheamus, over the last 8 years, Drew mostly in the last 5 or so, but they're both men known for being stiff as fucking nails, and that really bled through here, and it was good. You know, like you talked about, you don't have to necessarily have a lot of red in a no DQ, no holds barred match. And this was another good example of that. There was a lot of physicality and a lot of violence without dipping into ultra grotesque crimson mask bleeding all over your chest, you know?
Amen. And Sheamus going through one of the fan panels was just my moment of the night.
That was pretty fucking dope. I was into that. I was
like, and then Drew McIntyre takes that step forward and looks around. He's like, give it all to me. Love it.
That's the image.
You know, and so great match by both of them. I give the match an A+, because, like I said, match of the night for me. I can't wait. I'm still getting this weird suspicion that Sheamus is going to somehow sneak his way into the WWE title match at WrestleMania.
Ooh, please.
Triple threat match between Lashley, Sheamus, and Drew McIntyre. But we'll see. All right, so this match.
Let's get into this. Okay.
Well, first and foremost, I'm gonna get this joke out the way. The way she pinned him, Alexa Bliss can take me on in a match any night, day, afternoon of the week, whatever she wants. Like, that was just some shit right there. But let me give it to Randy Orton. Randy Orton, big time, bro.
Oh my God, yeah.
My brother, like, hell of a way to just put this entire match over.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, you can see that Randy Orton is doing favors for Bray Wyatt at this point. For Bo, is it Bo Rotunda? Is his name? Yeah.
So.
Like, because, like, this whole feud now, and I wanted to say this because I've been saying this to my girl for the last couple of times when we've been watching it. Anybody that says WWE does not know long-term storytelling needs to blink and go away, because period. This is a feud that has been carried on since last year at SummerSlam, shortly after SummerSlam. You know what I'm saying?
Not sparingly either, on a consistent basis, done pretty well, I think.
You know, and bravo to Alexa Bliss for carrying this feud since TLC for the past 3 months since TLC. You know, and just like I said, anybody that says they don't know long-term storytelling hasn't been watching the product, because this is just another example of great long-term storytelling. You know, you even had the moment at the very beginning of the match where Randy coughed up the black.
Yeah, the
right before the match.
Shit again.
Yeah, right
going
before the match
for his
started.
pose, and he just bleh. Yeah.
And so like, and now I will say this: it was slightly predictable because I knew pretty much from the time the match was set up that the Fiend was going to come back.
Yeah.
What I didn't expect was all the magical theatrics before he actually showed back up. I figured they were going to face off in the ring. It was going to go dark, and the Fiend was all of a sudden going to be there. Like I didn't expect falling fucking
lights
things out of
and
the
shit
sky,
like that. Yeah,
and light fire. We'll say flames and fireballs being shot at people's dome and shit like that. And the Fiend coming up looking all. You notice how Randy specifically called him an abomination on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
And I like the transition of the Fiend from being Bray Wyatt's alter ego to now being this thing that Alexa Bliss kind of controls.
Mm-hmm.
And so and so to an extent, we finally have a Sister Abigail.
Mm-hmm.
You feel what I'm saying?
That's an interesting way of putting it, yeah.
I've always thought that they should have had a female wrestler portray the character of Sister Abigail like on screen, and I think this is about as close as we'll ever get to that. But I think this is basically the manifestation of that. And so, bravo to Alexa, bravo to Randy for using his knowledge to help this feud along. And again, not disappointed.
Yeah. I'm really happy with how this whole feud is coming along, and you can really tell how much chemistry Orton and Bray have. They've worked together a lot, and this is pretty much coming up to be probably the best incarnation of any of their feuds or their storylines, even considering what they've done in the past. Much like you, walking into this match, I expected it to go way fucking different. First off, I didn't even expect Alexa Bliss to even walk out, if I'm being honest. Okay. I expected it to just be the Fiend, and that's how we were going to roll into this. I didn't even expect, this is Vince and Co. I didn't even expect continuity to the point that the Fiend was even going to be visually burnt.
Yeah.
So if I'm being honest, when Alexa came out and the bell rung and it was still her and Orton in the ring and they started moving, I was like, oh, wait. So this is already going in a direction I didn't fucking expect it to go in.
Yep.
I liked, like you said, I liked the magical theatrics of her saying, Orton, come get me. And then a light comes down. And then suddenly it does. I saw it in a little bit of a different light, the whole Fiend being this literal show and him also controlling the show. And suddenly it's no longer this sort of mythical, magical voodoo shit like The Undertaker. It's no longer smoke and lightning and fire. It's a different type of horror. And it's using this Thunderdome era to its advantage. And so it's less of I'm this mythical graveyard monster, but it's now this is all one big show and I'm the producer. Yeah. And so I like that direction. I also like the fact, like I talked about before, Alexa being almost infected by the Fiend. Whatever the Fiend touches, it changes things for the worse. I've already talked about Braun Strowman, but you see it's worsening with the burnt Fiend now. the abomination. The burned Fiend. It's a shitty reference. The Fiend came out a lot later than I expected, but that wasn't bad. It made it more convincing when he came out and one-shotted Orton. And props again to Orton for putting this over as much as he has. It doesn't feel like a goofy, completely unbelievable nonsense. Orton, in my opinion, does add a level of legitimacy to it at this point, and I didn't see it in that aspect before. But with how serious it seems Randy is taking this, I can see that now.
Amen. All right, so final match, and then you know what? I think we'll save WrestleMania for the next episode.
We'll rip into the next one.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and finish this off with a match that I saw going and finishing this way, head of the table, baby, I saw him retaining because I feel like WrestleMania is the earliest that he's going to lose that. If he loses it at WrestleMania, he very well may hold on to it till SummerSlam. You don't know. The character's so over right now. You never know.
Yeah.
But I have a weird feeling that because of the way this match ended, that Daniel Bryan's going to find himself in the main event of WrestleMania in a triple threat match. I don't know if he's going to win, but I think that I think that Daniel Bryan's, because of the way this match ended, because it kind of ended kind of clunky. Like, you know, you had all the chaos going on in the ring, and then for some odd reason, instead of screwing Reigns or screwing Bryan, Edge just decides to hit everybody with a fucking chair and leave. You know, it's just like, fuck you, you're cool, fuck you, I'm out. You know, and it was just, and it was, so it wasn't necessarily a confusing ending, because with the results, with the events leading up to him attacking everybody with the chair, it made sense. But I don't know, like, and then it was kind of convenient that the new ref just found his way out.
Yeah.
You know, after all the chaos was finally over, all of a sudden the new ref's like, I'm here. What I miss?
Yeah.
I'm here, ready to go.
They didn't give me the Charles Robinson 30-minute rundown. The fucking
So at the end of the day, ultimately, it went the way, like I said, I thought it was going to go. I expected Roman Reigns to win. I expected the title match at WrestleMania to end up being a triple threat. But just for those Yes fans out there, I'm a member of the Yes movement too. I'm a member of the first Yes movement. I don't see Daniel Bryan walking out with the title. I think this is going to be a good match, and if Edge ends up walking out with the title, I think it'll lead to an amazing feud between those two.
Yeah.
But I think if Roman Reigns keeps it, I think that Daniel Bryan goes out of the title picture for a little bit.
Yeah.
You know,
I see that. Okay. Yeah. I have some thoughts, some similar thoughts, but I do want to talk about the match itself just a little bit. I like the match. You know, it's a lot of proof up to this point that Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan can work together really well without rehashing the same shit over and over, right? I really liked the physicality of the match, and I loved the story told. But I do begin to start to question a few of their choices when writing this when it comes to the finish here. You know, I do understand the need to make Jey Uso look really fucking good. And I understand that they need to consistently make Jey Uso look really fucking good now that they started it, right? And that's very fair. And I like the fact that Jey Uso now has a thing for just murking motherfuckers wherever he goes. You know, there's this constant thing going on where Jey Uso shows up, super kicks some shit, gets mad, dips.
Yeah,
I like that. I like that. But I don't know if Jey Uso was absolutely crucial for this match. I understand the 50-50 booking as always, but I need Roman to look really good. I feel like if he in some way, shape, or form accidentally, or heels accidentally, air quotations there, bumped the ref a little bit, and that's when he tapped out, I would have liked to see that even. But I feel like Reigns really needs to look strong and like a unstoppable force over the next 2 months. And now because of that finish where he did tap, you know, it did protect them both. And now because of that, I do think that Daniel Bryan has a much better chance of being into the title picture. And I was actually planning on talking to you. I didn't think it was that like obvious of an idea. I was going to talk to you about the idea of Daniel Bryan being in the main event title picture scene at Mania. So I'm glad you brought it up right away like that. And
sometimes
I agree
you never
completely.
know. Great minds think alike.
Yes, sir. But you know, really. I agree completely. I want to see Daniel Bryan in that match. And I think especially considering his big win at Mania 30, I think this is a big way to reference that and say, you know, Daniel Bryan thrives in an environment where he's not supposed to win against two men who are great at being fucking wrestlers.
Yeah.
So if you want to run that idea, but have Roman Reigns still go over, I think that would be a great idea. And I think in a triple threat setting, that's probably the only way I'd be okay with Edge winning. But I think I agree in the way that there's no way Daniel Bryan walks out of Mania with the championship. Although, you know, that is when people say that probably the best time for Daniel Bryan to win a championship, right?
Well, I'll say it like this.
Ahead,
it's kind of like that. It's kind of like those memes that you see on Facebook and on Twitter. Like, you know, the chances of you getting attacked by a raccoon in your own house are like less than
Very
0
low.
or less than 1%. but they're never zero.
They're never zero.
and so I kind of say the same thing with WrestleMania with the Yes movement for Daniel Bryan, that the odds of Daniel Bryan winning
a championship out of nowhere,
are less than 1%, but they're never zero.
Never zero.
You remember, folks, we're less than 2 years removed from Daniel Bryan's last WWE championship reign.
Yeah,
when he was the people's champ, the vegan,
the hemp belt. Champ. He was the hemp belt.
Yeah, the hemp belt. So like it's not like Daniel Bryan hasn't won a title in like 15 years. Like he's recently won a championship. So I think that putting him, I'll put it to you like this. I agree with you. I think you need Roman Reigns coming out of WrestleMania looking strong. No matter what, you need Reigns coming out of WrestleMania looking strong. So you have him win this, right? You have him win this, and you have him go over looking a little bit weak. But if you're going to have him, if you're going to have Edge beat him and have him still come out looking strong, you have to insert a third person into the match. Because there's no way Edge beats him clean and he still comes out looking strong.
I agree. I think Daniel Bryan is not a bad fall guy. I don't think he's necessarily going to walk into this and everyone's going to be like, oh, he's just the guy taking the pin. It's Daniel Bryan, never zero, right?
Oh man, I can guarantee you at some point during WrestleMania there are going to be moments in that match in which you're going to believe that Daniel Bryan is about to win the Universal title. But
even for just a few seconds. Even for just a few seconds.
But it's going to be amazing. Now, one more thing I wanted to talk to you about before we go off air was something that happened on Monday Night Raw this week. Okay, and this will kind of be final subject, and we'll wrap it up.
All right, man, go ahead.
The absence of Charlotte Flair, which was later explained by her, I guess she's contracted COVID-19, and looks like she may not even be available for WrestleMania. But the debut and instant challenge and accepting of challenge of Rhea Ripley to Asuka for a match at WrestleMania. So we're getting kind of a dream match. Like, I'm ready for Asuka versus Rhea Ripley. I figured it was going to be Asuka versus Charlotte Flair, and I think that was the original plan until Flair caught whatchamacallit. But I don't think that it has anything to do with Andrade being released, which we will touch on soon, but I don't know if we got enough time this episode.
Yeah, that'll be next time, but that's okay, though. Then we can talk about the what ifs and all that. But yeah, I agree. It's been well-established notion by last fall when Charlotte won the tag team championships with Asuka. Everyone could see, this isn't just a ragtag team for haha funny moments. This is very clearly building up to Asuka versus Charlotte at WrestleMania for the championship. Not because Charlotte wins everything, that's how this goes, but because you can see the writing on the wall. That's how many a feud has been built, especially in the world title picture.
Yeah. And just a quick side note, I actually had Asuka booked to win this match because I thought this was going to be the rubber match of her and Charlotte. And since Charlotte went over at WrestleMania the first time, you'll get Asuka going over this time, and then we'll get a third match in the next couple of years at WrestleMania again, in which Charlotte will of course come out on top. But I figured since this would be the second WrestleMania match that Asuka would have went over. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Don't even apologize. It's perfect. I love that you brought that up, actually, because that's a great way to do it. We see these big Mania matches. If you see someone go up against each other a second time, you can pretty much bet that it's going to happen a third time. Or if it happens again the second time, you can pretty much bet the other guy's going over.
Right.
And that's not a horrible way to think about it. Logistically, that's just how it goes. Yeah, I don't think it was ever about Andrade. And even when we were in those weeks of speculation, I didn't think it was about Andrade.
Yeah.
Purely because it's very clear how popular is Charlotte backstage and how much they rely on her. You can look at each of the divisions and you can pretty much pick out a handful of people that are like, okay, those are the Vince reliable people. Those are the guys that when the title scene gets fucked up, when the champion scene gets fucked up, if there's a vacant title, if someone gets injured, if someone has to drop a title, those are the people that Vince is going to fall back on. And that's just how it goes. When it comes to the men's title scene, you're going to see people like Randy Orton. When it comes to the women's title scene, you're pretty much going to see people like Sasha Banks and Charlotte Flair are his reliables. Those are the people he's going to lean on. And so that's why I believe in those things, that it's pretty much going to lead into a main title picture like that, main event title. match picture like that, you know?
Of course. So, all right. Well, congratulations to Rhea on her Raw debut.
Yeah.
I can honestly hope now that she actually wins the Raw Women's Championship. I would love to see her and Asuka either feud, or shit, I wouldn't mind seeing her and Charlotte Flair feud, the feud that we were not given a full feud, last year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that. So,
Me too.
All right, that's going to wrap us up for today. Guys, like I said, we love you. We'll see you guys in we'll see you guys next week when we'll be talking the next 2 episodes of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We'll be talking Snyder Cut, baby.
Snyder Cut. It's going to be heavy Snyder Cut.
And if there's time, we're going to try to fit in a little split as well by Mr. M. Night Shyamalan. Love that dude. All right, that's it. Alpha, any last words for the people?
Man, you know how it goes. We're finishing a good recording here ahead of time, and we're going to come back at you again with some good comic shit and a review of a 4-hour fucking movie. I'm so excited.
Can't wait. I've actually heard.
I love you. Go ahead. Sure. No, please.
Just on one note, I've actually heard from Suave, who's watched it, that there's only like maybe a handful of scenes that actually are from like the Whedon version. Like it's almost a completely new movie. So
yeah, I've heard the same.
So we'll see what happens. Like he said, y'all, take care of yourselves. Namaste. And we'll see you next week. Peace.